Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Silver Years. My name is DK, and I'm very happy to be here, and I humbly thank you for joining me. Today, I'd like to talk about the insatiable need we seem to have in our society for more. And it made me wonder where we draw the line on how much is enough. How do we know when we have enough? Enough money, enough power, enough security, enough stuff, enough of anything. Whatever that is for you, how do you know when enough is enough? In pondering this question for myself, I started to think about what our collective value system is and how it became what it is today. Because in order to narrow down what constitutes enough of anything, we need to clarify what we value. It's all about what we, both as an individual and as a collective society, value. What we value, we go after, we invest in it, we align with it. It becomes our focus, it becomes part of our identity. And if left unchecked, our ego identities can become insatiable bottomless pits that are never satisfied. And then there's never enough of anything to quench that need for more, more, more. They call that addiction, don't they? I'm sure those of us living the silver years have experienced many social and economic changes throughout our lives that have formed us into who we are today. These changes and experiences have, no doubt, helped us to personally cultivate our own individual value systems while contributing to a deeper understanding of where true value can be found in life. I know I have. While social influences, the news and entertainment machine, and the educational system are major influencing factors in defining what we value, I feel it's important to remember that when it comes to our basic programming, most of it starts at home. It starts with our generational inheritance and the values our families instill into us while we're young. What's considered to be of great value to our family and those who raise us oftentimes becomes the basis for our value system throughout life. Has this been your experience? If you were to ask yourself or anyone around you what they value the most, what do you think would be at the top of the list? Their money, their investments, retirement accounts, their bank accounts, their gold and jewelry, their house, their car, their job. As hollow as these responses might sound in theory, these priorities are where our collective attention has been focused and systematically programmed over the last 100 years or more. And this was not an accident. By way of manipulation and coercion, our parents and their parents, along with all the rest of us, have been historically traumatized by economics, by survival and scarcity, which has resulted in a collective emptiness, a big hole. A big hole I define as lack and the feeling that there's not enough to go around, not enough to live, simply not enough to be satisfied. When we consider some of the concentrated traumas, one after the other, that have assaulted us over the last century, we can begin to see where that fearful feeling of lack might come from. Now, going back, there was the stock market crash of 1929 and the Great Depression that followed, the two world wars, and all of the endless wars in between that have never stopped. There's been innumerable manufactured shortages like food, fuel, water, power. Then, of course, there's been several major economic and market collapses. Now, these kinds of survival scarcity and fear mongering has pummeled the traumatized masses for more than 125 years. It has pummeled the psyche of the masses for a long time. And these adversities began in earnest when real money was removed from our financial system after the sinking of the Titanic in 1912. Side note, but relevant, if you want to understand this big money switcheroo better, please consider researching the history of Jekyll Island and the formation of the Federal Reserve after the sinking of the Titanic, when the wealthy bankers who opposed the creation of the Federal Reserve went down with the ship. Knowledge is power, and personal research is where we will find our answers. It helps to know why things are the way they are, especially when we want to create a new direction that doesn't take us down an old and unsustainable path. Anyhow, our real dollars, the ones that were issued by the government's national treasury and backed by precious metals perceived to have value, like gold and silver, were deleted from our monetary system when those treasury dollars were replaced by fiat dollars. Fiat dollars that were issued by the nation's new central bank we know as the Federal Reserve. The Federal Reserve secretly replaced the role of our national treasury, our official national treasury. Yet it is neither federal nor is it a reserve for our national benefit. The Federal Reserve is not in any way a government enterprise, even though somehow it controls and dictates how our government operates. It is a private, for profit bank owned and controlled by the international bankers who run the world and its wars because, well, all wars are bankers' wars. And these bankers have always funded both sides of any war and continue to do so. Now, taking this a step further, real dollars that were once backed by real assets in the form of silver and gold, gold that many used to say was stored at Fort Knox, but we all know that joke was on us because somebody definitely ran off with that gold a long time ago. Now, our asset backed treasury dollars, real dollars, were replaced by fiat money, which some have called funny money with the face value of monopoly money. But what secures it? What asset is backing this fiat money if it isn't gold, silver, or whatever? Because in order to transact business on an international scale, the monies used must be backed by something standardized and perceived as holding value before another nation will accept it as payment in exchange for tangible goods. This is where the petrodollar comes to mind, money that was backed by oil instead of gold. This is part of it, but there is a much bigger component. So, what is backing the bulk of the fiat dollars we use today? In a nutshell, we are. We are the collateral. We are the asset backing the funny money that is being managed and manipulated by a gaggle of bankers who prioritize profit above all else, who prioritize profit over life. Again, all wars are bankers' wars. Now, if you have a birth certificate, you are collateralized. Your life is the asset backing the fiat money we call dollars. today. Your birth certificate is a bond. Just look at the document, pull it out, look at the original document, and see for yourself. And that bond is secretly invested, insured, and traded upon during your lifetime. If you have a Social Security number, you have an account with the Federal Reserve. The problem is you never get to access or benefit from this account or the massive profits that have been made using your name and life's energy. Everything is hidden under your Social Security account number with the Federal Reserve, as these bankers invest and trade upon your birth certificate bond without your knowledge. Now consider the generations of unsuspecting Americans who have been coerced into this scheme since the formation of the Federal Reserve in 1913. All profits from these secret investments made using variations of your name are retained by the Federal Reserve as profit for its use and benefit. And why do they get to do that? Because with the issuance of a birth certificate, you are legally declared dead upon birth and lost at sea. And whenever we are compelled to sign any document required by these corporate or government institutions to get a job or to simply conduct life business, we consent in ignorance for the fraud to continue. What's that old saying? Ignorance of the law is no excuse. They depend on our ignorance, which means, again, it's up to us to do our own research because no government institution, including our educational system, is going to teach us the truth about how the system really works. We will never be taught that our entire legal system is based upon admiralty and maritime law, the law of the sea, and not the law of the land. And there are different sets of laws. And why does any of this matter when it comes to knowing how much is enough? It matters because each and every one of us has been collateralized to prop up and sustain the very money system that enslaves us. We are enmeshed with it, whether we realize it or not. We are enmeshed physically, emotionally, mentally, unconsciously, because we are pledged to it. Our brains may not know we are, but our bodies, energetic fields, know it. This matters because it powerfully influences our value systems, what we value. We are energetically entwined and interconnected with the money system. We are the life force that makes it possible and keeps it going. We've been ingrained with it, programmed to be addicted to it. Like an evil spell has been cast over humanity that makes greed a socially acceptable addiction. I know, it's a lot and a tough concept to wrap your head around. I get it. But think about it. You're born, your mother is forced to sign a birth certificate form declaring you dead, lost at sea, without knowing what she's signing. And she has to sign it or they won't let her leave the hospital. This was done to her mother as well. In so doing, legal control over you and your estate is assigned to the government through secret probate. Which means what? The government owns you, or at least it thinks it does. You are a slave with a bonded certificate proving government ownership. The government then hands it over to the Federal Reserve so that it can print the money you spend that is backed by you and your life. Paper money that we would kill each other over because we've been convinced that money has more value than human life. We've been convinced to think like the parasitical bankers who feed off of us, profit from us, and benefit from us. Can you see the complexities and contradictions here? Our reality is money centric. It's designed that way by the central bankers who rule the world. We are the slaves, and we are slaves to the money system because we are the collateral. We are born into debt because fiat money equals debt. Our fiat dollars are called Federal Reserve notes. You can pull out a dollar bill or any bill and look at the top. It's a Federal Reserve note. A note is a promise to pay. It's a promissory note. It's a debt. We exchange our entire life's work for a debt and debt dollars. And we treat money as if it were more valuable than the time we have left to spend it. It's a vicious cycle. No wonder we feel like there's never enough. And the fact that we have to pay to live on the planet we were born on is more than criminal. What kind of evil mastermind dreamt that one up? The central bankers have made a killing off of us, literally, as we join in by killing each other over the fake money that couldn't exist without us. The fake money that has enslaved us in every possible way imaginable and left us wanting more. Now, I'm not saying here there is no place for money in the world or that money unto itself is evil. I believe it's said to be the love of money that's the problem, not money itself. And there is something to be said for an equitable form of exchange when transacting business. Whatever is backing the form of exchange being used can be anything, as long as there is a perceived value that all can agree upon. This is where bartering might come to mind. Or take, for example, the tulip fever days of 17th century Holland, when tulip bulbs backed its entire economy and held greater value than anything else, until that market dramatically collapsed. Of course, today we have digital currencies like Bitcoin that are backed by nothing other than the belief in value by those invested in it. This isn't about the concept of money per se. This is about why we value the money of today over life and well-being, and the manipulations that have gotten us to believe this way as a society. I thought about the 1980s and the heavy push during that decade towards the building of big shopping malls and consumerism. Shopping malls that are now being replaced with brutalistic apartment buildings, by the way. And with all this consumerism, it was about buying lots of stuff and filling our lives with tons of material stuff that now fills our storage units or landfills. Remember those bumper stickers people would put on their cars that read, "He who has the most toys wins"? That for me summed up the competitive consumerism of the 1980s. And then the 1990s, it trained us to define success by aggressively competing for the biggest balance sheet, the biggest paycheck, the biggest bank accounts. We were reminded constantly how much money we needed to have to be considered successful. And this is what we were trained to value above all else, not understanding that we were the collateral all along. I feel manipulations of this nature have promoted a cognitive dissonance within society that has only fractured and gotten worse with time and programming. Just look at how we invest our money. Let's look at the category of food, for example. We all need it, we all eat it, and we all know our food is toxic. sprayed and infused with heavy chemicals that we're falsely told are necessary in order to feed the world by aiding in mass production and preservation. Chemicals that we know are making us sick, very sick. Chemicals that are killing us off like Roundup on a weed. So we try to do right by ourselves by spending the extra to buy organic or whatever. Yet, we think nothing of investing our 401ks or retirement portfolios in the big corporations that produce these forever chemicals that are poisoning us and making us sick because, well, we're making money. Our portfolios are growing and the dividends are good. We can apply this same comparison across the board for every investment in every sector. This can apply even to our working jobs. We're taught that it's okay to do anything at work, regardless of who it harms, as long as we're doing it for the paycheck we need to live. We disconnect from the long-term harm being done as long as we're making money and our wealth grows. To me, this is eating at your own foundation. This is betting against yourself. How can we invest the fiat money that is collateralized by us in something that is fatally harming us in the name of profit without suffering the consequences? We can never build a house that stands strong when the foundation is undermined, period. As a society, we can't have it both ways. It is unsustainable. And it's time for us to wise up and grow up as a people. We cannot protect our environment and the future of our families when we invest our money, our life force, in what's destroying it. And for what? Fiat money? The perception of wealth? How much is enough? There are many of us living the silver years who have come to personally understand that health is wealth. Health is the true wealth. You can have all the money in the world, but if you don't have your health, you will spend all of that money just to get your health back. Maybe we should consider investing in making our world healthier in the first place, instead, and by putting our money where our mouth is. Maybe we should begin to rethink the role of money in our lives and plan for a better future that works for all and not just the few elites lording it over at the top. The time is now, and it's time we break the spell. And let me say, just as a reminder, like most of the things I discuss on my channel, this topic is extremely multi-layered and multifaceted, which means that it's not just one thing that makes it so. It's many layers of things over time that has gotten us to where we are today. What I'm trying to shed light on here are simply some of the significant factors that I've observed contributing to this complex scarcity issue. Now, before I go, I want to leave you with a loaded question to ponder, as I like to do. How much is enough for you? Please leave your comments below. I would love to hear your thoughts. Until next time, be well, choose love, and thank you. Thank you for listening. Goodbye for now.